So good morning, everyone. On behalf of our board, staff, volunteers, we extend a warm welcome to Lewis Ginter Botanical Garden. My name is Brian Trader. I'm the president and CEO. And we're here today to celebrate a unique partnership between Lakeside Baptist Church, Lewis Ginter Botanical Garden, and Henrico County. We formed this partnership to steward a beautiful place with a rich history. It started last fall when the trustees of Lakeside Baptist Church reached out to the garden and they inquired if we would be interested in stewarding their property for the future and future generations. Having enjoyed a close relationship over the past 4 decades, we are thrilled and deeply humbled by the opportunity to continue the church's legacy of benefiting the community. The garden then reached out to Henrico County to see if they would be willing to assist. Henrico County leadership was supportive from the beginning. County officials showed great vision when they heard Lakeside Baptist Church had approached us with a potential real estate acquisition. County Manager John Vitulkas, John, please. His Chief of Staff, Carrie Trattina. Supervisors Dan Schmitt, Frank Thornton, they all implemented the Henrico way and put that into motion. They combined a sound use of resources with a commitment to provide the best for those living, working, and playing in Henrico County. We thank them and the rest of the county supervisors and their team for their leadership and forward thinking. With its spirit of cooperation, the generous financial support from Henrico County will tremendously help the garden towards its purchase of the property. It will also allow the garden to serve the entire community better, enhancing the lives of those throughout the Richmond region and beyond. I'd now like to invite Henrico County Supervisor Frank Thornton of the Fairfield District and Henrico County Supervisor Dan Schmitt of the Brookland District to say a few words. Mr. Thornton, may I ask you to speak first? Please welcome.
Good morning. And it really is, we are really blessed to have this lovely morning as our prayers go out to all the great persons in the state of Florida. Well, it's my pleasure to be here with Dan Schmitt, my Brookland colleague on the Board of Supervisors. We share the pleasure of representing the Lakeside community. In addition to my service on the Board of Supervisors, I have had the pleasure of tending to the garden as a now former member of its board, so it's great to be back. Today is truly a momentous day for Lewis Ginter Botanical Garden, Lakeside Baptist Church, and all of Henrico County. Since it opened 35 years ago, the Botanical Garden has been a gem, and I want to say that word again, it has been a gem for Lakeside as well as for our county, region, and state. It's a place like few others, a place of natural beauty, a place of calm, quiet relaxation, a place for reflection and peace. Today, with our lives busier than ever, we need more places like this gym and this garden. Thank you, Brian, for hosting us today, and congratulations to you, your board, staff, and volunteers. Like every living thing, a garden must grow. I am thrilled that the Botanical Garden's long friendship with its neighbor, Lakeside Baptist Church, is culminating in this sale. To our friends from the church, thank you for being one of this community's pillars and anchors for more than 6 decades. We wish you much success as you enter this new chapter. Our Board of Supervisors recognize the opportunity before us when we learned that the garden and the church were discussing a possible land transfer. We understood that Henrico benefits from having a vibrant, community-oriented garden. It is worth noting that Lewis Ginter operates as a non-profit organization, and last year it attracted more than 390,000 visitors, including many of our county's school children. That is why our board is supporting this real estate acquisition with a commitment to contribute $75,000 over the next 3 years. We are confident that by planting this seed money, the garden will be able to work with private donors to grow the funds it needs to complete this project. Thank you very much for giving me a chance to say this. I want to now call on my colleague from Brookland District, Dan Schmitt.
Thank you, Mr. Thornton. I want to echo what Mr. Thornton said about the weather here today. May we all take a snapshot of this weather here today as we proceed through our next 3 or 4 days. And our thoughts are certainly with the folks down south as this storm rumbles through the southeast. I'm thrilled to be here today. I currently serve on the board of directors here, and Brian and his staff and the team here at the Garden do such a wonderful job. And Mr. Thornton, while Lewis Ginter Botanical Garden is just inside the Fairfield district, I appreciate the opportunity to be here today representing the Brookland district, just a stone's throw away to my right. The Garden's agreement to purchase land from the Lakeside Baptist Church represents a true win-win for the Garden and the church. As you just heard, quite frankly, it's a triple win when you consider the many benefits that it also is going to offer our residents and our community here as a whole. The Garden, certainly this is a success for them. The church, what a tremendous partner this church has been, and our community will benefit from this joint partnership and this effort and this land transfer. In addition to my work on the Board of Supervisors, as I mentioned, I have the pleasure of serving here on the Lewis Ginter Board as well, and I also chair Richmond Region Tourism, so it gives me a unique perspective of what this garden means and this property means for folks who visit our region as well. In Henrico and across our region, we put a lot of energy into promoting tourism and enhancing our visitor experience. We also look for ways to leverage our investments here in the county, in our community facilities that help us attract these visitors, whatever it is that brings them here. Consider just the past few weeks of folks that have come to our region. We've had motorsports fans in town for the NASCAR races just a month or so ago. We also had youth baseball players and their families here and their coaches from across the country as we hosted the Babe Ruth 13-year-old World Series at RFP Park. And those were just 2 of the events hosted in this county. We also had people here to celebrate the rich history that our community offers, shopping, restaurants, breweries, and various events in our convention center and sites throughout our region. Lewis Ginter Botanical Garden, this amazingly beautiful gem in our community, is as important of a part of that tourism portfolio as any other. It consistently ranks among the best botanical gardens in the country, and it adds a richness and experience that convinces visitors to not only check us out, but to also keep coming back. You know, last year, as Mr. Thornton just mentioned, this garden welcomed 390,000 visitors, a mix of folks from out of town plus residents here in our area. Helping the garden grow and thrive makes sense for us as a county. It makes sense for us as Board of Supervisors members, and it generates benefits beyond tourism. It enhances the attractiveness for business investment in our community, and it enriches the quality of life for the residents who live here in Mr. Thornton's district, in my district, and across this wonderful county. As I said, this is a win-win-win for all. I look forward to hearing more about the garden's plans as this progresses. Please know that our county and this board stands ready to help in any way we can, Brian. Congratulations, and thank you for inviting me here today. Brian? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Thornton, and thank you, Mr. Schmitt. Before I'd like to introduce our next speaker, I want to express my sincere gratitude to the congregation and the trustees of Lakeside Baptist Church. I'm going to go off script a little bit here, but I just want to say that the last almost year has been one of the most fulfilling and rewarding aspects of my time here at Lewis Ginter Botanical Garden is working with the trustees and having some of those difficult conversations. And while we're excited about the future, we know that this is a bittersweet time for the congregation, and we're sensitive to that. We've all had those neighbors who are understanding, supportive, caring, and willing to help one another. Our peers at Lakeside Baptist Church have been that kind of neighbor. They've been there since the inception of this garden. We've always worked together with grace. When the vines climbed over the fence, they'd give us a nice little call and we'd take care of them. When Lakeside Baptist Church and Hillard and the whole intersection was covered with like a parking lot with cars for Dominion Energy Garden Fest of Lights, they shared their parking lots with us. They've helped us serve our community and achieve our mission, and for that we will be eternally grateful. Lakeside Baptist Church has been a place of learning, faith, healing, celebration for many of our staff and our volunteers. Some of our team members, their children were in the daycare at the church, which has provided a strong foundation for their life. The congregation has set a high standard for cultural engagement within our community. We are truly honored that the church has chosen us to help steward and continue their work. As I mentioned before, I've been incredibly blessed to work with Bob Thompson, Bob Jones, and Leland Webb. Leland could not be here with us today, but he's here with us in spirit over the last 9 months. I didn't envy their charge. I know it's been difficult for them. I know it's been bittersweet for them to consider this process and to implement it. But their camaraderie, their dedication, their passion have been an inspiration. The community that they have amongst one another and with the congregation is an inspiration. And I'm humbled by the friendship that we've developed. Thank you very sincerely. I'd now like to invite Bob Jones, one of the trustees of Lakeside Baptist Church, to please come up to the podium and share a few remarks. Please welcome Bob.
When I came in this morning through the parking lot, I noticed one of the activities that Lewis Ginter is famous for. There were a bunch of buses from Louisa here to tour the site and receive information on what Lewis Ginter is and does. I also was welcomed by one of Lewis Ginter's birds who deposited something on my coat and took my toupee. I believe there are 3 things guaranteed in this world for all of us: taxes, death, and change. All of us have experienced change. I hope all of us have not experienced all the other two too seriously or too expensively. I believe we're here today from Lakeside because of change. And number 2, because the Lord works in mysterious ways. I want to reflect a little bit on change. I've been a member of Lakeside for 55 years. I was married in Lakeside 56 years ago. My children were married at Lakeside. My granddaughter was baptized at Lakeside. And I have seen a lot of change over the years. One of the first times I sat down in church next to my mother-in-law, she looked at me and says, "Where's your coat?" And I had on a shirt and a tie and a sweater. And I said, "I didn't think I needed to wear a coat today." She said, "You're in church, you need a coat." And I was young, I think I was about 22, and I'd gotten out of the Navy, and I was going to college, and I thought I was pretty smart. I said, "I don't think God would mind me being here without a coat." She looked at me and she said, "God may not mind, but I do." Change. Oh, has that changed? Several years later, I had to go before the Board of Deacons to get permission to do a car wash in the parking lot for the senior high group of kids I was teaching for summer activities. Baptists don't do fundraisers. We take care of our own. I had the car wash anyway. I didn't get excommunicated, and we raised about $400. Years past that, I had to go back before the board because I had been property chair and building superintendent for 45 years to get permission for some of the ladies in the church who wanted to do aerobic classes in the fellowship hall. You don't dance in church. So I left the meeting, and an hour later, the chair of the board called me and said, Bob, we think you need to make that decision. And I said, that's not a problem. My wife is one of those ladies. We had aerobics. Change. So many things have happened. I'll touch on a couple more. 2008, when the economy took a downturn, I called it a depression or recession. A lot of church members lost their jobs, couldn't buy homes, businesses closed. There were tough times that affected our congregation. Change. In 2015, the church formed a committee to look at the future of the church as one task and to reduce expenses at the church. And that committee made some changes at that time. We did not replace our secretary, and our pastor, who's here today, went part-time, and we managed to go through some difficult times with fewer people. And in any organization, you have to have funds to make sure there's heat in the winter and air conditioning in the summer. And expenses got tight. The Lord had blessed us with a church family that contributed a lot of funds to our memorial and endowment fund, and we were blessed to have that money to fall back on in hard times. 2015, one of the tasks of this committee was to explore and make recommendations for the future of the church. 2020, COVID. All of you know about that, I'm sure. Like many churches, we shut down, except for our daycare. Our daycare continued to operate to provide services that were needed for people that had to have their children somewhere so they could go do their job. And we stayed up open. And in 2021, early, we got to looking at our congregation after we opened up 1 year later, and we were fewer and we were older. And we got to talking, the trustees, about how could we change this? What could we do to do the Lord's work by spreading the Great Commission that Jesus Christ had put before us? Because we weren't doing a lot but existing. So one of the options were to sell the property in the church. And the Lord works in mysterious ways. And during that process, the option came up, well, why don't we sell the church and take the proceeds and invest it in the Virginia Baptist Foundation, and each year pull the interest off and divide it among charities in this area that we currently supported as a church and other charities. And each year create a legacy to do this. Well, then who do we sell it to? There was a lot of options. All of us agreed in the beginning the first person we would talk to would be Louis Ginter, because our relationship with them, because we believed in what they were doing, their community support and activities, their educational events, benefited all of us. So we approached Louis Ginter as our first choice and sat down with him and worked out what we needed to do. The church later on voted on this and approved the purchase that we were recommended to Louis Ginter. And I'm here to say I'm glad that happened. I have a lot of good memories to live with. I was born and raised in Lakeside, and this was a thing that allowed us to continue to spread the word, to open our doors to many people instead of what we were doing at church. We still have a church. We're not dissolving. And if I can work out an agreement with the new owners of the church in 2025, we'll stay at Lakeside. But if they charge us too much money, we'll go somewhere else. But we felt that this was the best decision, and we are glad to be here and look forward to the future. Thank you.
I can say with no certainty that bird may have come from Lakeside Baptist Church, which is right there. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Thank you, Bob, for those remarks. And thank you all for being here today. Thank you for helping celebrate this momentous occasion. I apologize that our chipper has been activated and upstaged us a little bit. We will be around after the ceremony to take some questions. And again, if we could continue to keep all those communities in Florida in our hearts as they're going through a very difficult time while we enjoy this beautiful weather. Thank you all again. We look forward to sharing future plans for the church property, and we thank our partners at Henrico County. Thank you, Mr. Schmitt. Thank you, Mr. Thornton. Thank you, Mr. Jones. And thank you to the trustees of Lakeside Baptist Church. We hope you have a great day.